everybody. Welcome back to the You Don't Understand podcast. So, for today's episode, we wanted to talk about freedom. Specifically, and we touched on it a little bit at the end of the last week's podcast, but specifically, parents giving their children freedom and children deciding what they want to do with that freedom. So, I will hand it off to my mom first. She can talk a little bit about how or what drove her to finally give me a little bit more freedom. And some might say a little too much freedom.
Yes, I do agree to that. That a lot of people think that I gave too much freedom. Uh, I don't think so. Too much freedom in other ways, but as being a brown parent, let's like a parent from an Indian origin, we have a different kind of cultural background, and all those things. So for a parent like me, I was giving too much freedom for my children, and I always was told in subtle ways by some of my family members or even my friends, because they could see that my children, I'm not okay with all of it. But I made a conscious choice to do that, because that's where my journey with you, and of course my own personal experiences, and then my own me as a teenager, what I was experiencing, those kind of things, and then my own struggle with my parents not giving me no freedom at all, to versus me becoming a parent who's kind of okay with pretty much everything as long as you guys are safe. That's my major concern. So yes, definitely, I've heard this a lot. Now, is there a right answer of how much freedom to give and how much not to give? I think it is really depends on each child, because every child's personality is different, how they interact with the outside world. So as a parent, from the parent perspective, my fear was more about safety. It was never about whether you people should not have that exposure or not completely like become like house bodies. I always wanted you to have fun, enjoy, go out with your friends and everything, but of course the exposure to cigarettes or to liquor or to drugs in my generation was very limited than compared to your generations. So that fear was always there, that where do I pull the string where I'm like, okay, that's it. Because the other drawback of giving child some freedom can be that the child doesn't know where to draw the line, where the child feels that okay, I've been given so much freedom, I should respect it and do certain things that are within the boundary, which keeps our parents also safe and happy or peaceful about it. So I guess striking the balance with each other was the hardest part. I think that took some not
Still
experimentation,
struggle a little bit.
but
I think we still struggle a little bit.
yes. Because a parent, once a parent, always a parent, right? I cannot completely take that hat off and just say, oh, I'm done and I don't have to worry about it, because the parent in me will die the day I die. It's like that. It will go with me. Of course, my responsibility over your life or with your life will start dwindling or reducing as you become into your own being and you start making your decisions and everything. But a parent always thinks about their children, that they should be safe, they should be happy. I think that's something you're just biologically wired, I guess. Nothing you can do. Even animals, they're always worried about their offspring. So I guess it was a learning experience with each child. I don't think so. What I did with you exactly worked with Adi. I had to figure out my way of communication with him in a different way than versus with you. And the balance, I guess in the end, it comes down to the balance of how much is okay and what are my priorities. Like, what is the reason why I would not give you certain freedom? First, to understand that, and from that list, how much is okay for me to let go, and how much I want to hold on to, because this will definitely take away my peace of mind, you know. That is something, a work that I had to do within myself. um, and of course, I don't know about others, but again, it's my personal journey. I, in my teenage, I have mentioned this in the earlier podcast also, that I was a very rebellious kid, extremely rebellious. In fact, amongst the three siblings, I guess one, me being the female, both my, I have younger brothers, so me being the female one, and on top of that, with this kind of an adventurous and impulsive nature where I'm ready to take on life, like I don't care. Um, and I want to experience it, you know, I want to. So I did defy most of the boundaries and rules that were put on me. So, and I am the one who's free spirited, who wants to literally just fly. And on the other hand, my parents, especially my dad, probably he had his own inherent fears with me being in that society. He wanted to completely hold me down, and it was always a struggle. But then I somehow learned to lie. I started manipulating situations so I could do what I want to do. So I always, as a kid who was a teenager, I knew that my intention is not to hurt my parents. I'm not doing it to hurt them. That's not what I want. But at the same time, I do want to also experience my life with my friends or whatever I wanted to do at that point of time. So I was aware of that struggle from my own teenage years. So I was fully aware of that struggle when it came to you or Adi. But then in my teenage years, I was not the parent. Now I have the parent perspective also. And that's what I needed to figure out, that, you know, as I many times mentioned this, that the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree. So so I know that my genes are going to act up. And I knew that your personality is such that you're very adventurous by nature. You always had that little bit of impulsive nature. um, and I saw that, that my reflection in you, kind of thing, you know. So I knew that if I'm going to put too much boundaries on you, then I'm not doing anything. I'm actually encouraging you to break those boundaries, because I know that eventually you will, because your nature would not be the one that's going to get confined by my boundaries. So I was fully aware that I have to relax some boundaries with you. I have to let go certain things. Now it was more about choosing my battles with you, you know, what I am ready and what I'm not ready. And I think that is what took some time between you and me. And with Adi, it is another story altogether. But I guess it's a learning journey. I think it's a difficult time for every parent, but it is, in the end, it's worth, because I think somewhere we did come to some sort of a middle ground where my peace of mind is there and you still have space to be yourself. Do I agree to everything that you do? Probably not.
Love it. Um,
I wish I wish I could pull those strings back, but I don't want to anymore. I think it's not even to do with the fact that you're 21 and you're adult. It's not that. But I do feel that somewhere I have to also limit my role as a parent. I think it's time. And again, my intentions are to make you a more stable individual.
mhm,
That's my ultimate goal. And I guess that's the ultimate goal pretty much for every parent. And if it is not, then every parent should really start thinking about it, because there are no guarantees that I'm going to be alive here every day. Yeah, I can be gone tomorrow. But I
mhm.
do want to live with that thought and peace, that at least I raised you enough that you can handle life on your own, whatever life throws at you.
Do you think, because obviously, like, I know even I knew growing up, because my own friends would come and tell me like, I think your parents are too chill to like a fault. And I know you heard it from your fam, like, from other family members, from family friends. What do you think the pros were in giving me a lot more freedom, just so our viewers and our parents can also gauge? And then what do you think the cons were?
The Let's talk about the cons first.
Okay. All right, no, that's fine. That's okay.
So I guess the biggest con, I'm not going to say it as a con as such, but is the understanding that I have to let go certain aspects of that insecurity that I have. One, it is a struggle within me as a parent. Second was, of course, as I mentioned, all the stuff that is going on with drugs and all that stuff. You people are in a very young age, teenagers in this country, asking for such kind of freedom. And you're young, you're impressionable. One wrong step, one wrong thing can cost you your life pretty much. So that fear also again is a struggle within me, but I don't know, I wasn't sure how I'm going to explain you that, because you haven't experienced it, so you cannot even understand the intensity or gravity of that thought process. And the third thing that really was for me, again, safety. I think in the end, I can talk about me. For me, it was always about your safety. I can trust you, but I cannot trust the world around you. And nobody on this earth can give me a guarantee that the world around me is going to be safe and don't worry, no, nobody can do that. So, again, I think as a parent, um, it's more my internal struggle. And as a child, the con was that one, you are in your puberty stages, like you're just budding to be a teenager, your hormones are kicking, you want to literally bungee jump into life right away, like that's it. That's what you guys want to do, that there is no sensibility towards experiencing it on a daily basis. It's like you just want to run, like that kind of feeling. And then of course, more so because, as I said, impressionable, career is important, not because career is important, but again, to survive in this physical world, you need to have those things. So those were the fears. The pros is that when I was able to let go of those certain aspects of what I'm holding on to, it actually did bring peace to me. One, it was my own internal peace. Two, I was able to let you build that trust on me. So it helped me build my relationship on a healthier level with you. Because I know that we were struggling. So I'm like, okay, this will have you trust me and my trust in you, but what kind of decisions you are going to make in situations. So the third thing was to observe you when I'm letting you go to a party or anything. I was always wanting to observe and know what happened, not because what happened, but because I can gauge that, okay, what situations were there? How did you react? What was your thought process? Were you matured enough to handle the situation that came in? Like those, so that would give me an insight into your life when I'm not a part of it. So then that can also help me build that trust on you, that no, she is taking right decisions, or she is able to handle herself. So that in turn brought more security, and I could trust you more, that okay, she can handle. So I guess that was it. Um, i do feel that uh, I don't agree to a lot of things when it comes to you exercising your freedom. But then again, as I said, I chose my battle. My job is certain habits you can always give up, not give up. That's up to you. But overall, as a human being, have or do I feel good? Do I feel confident that you are responsible enough and you can handle your life and you're ready to take care of whatever life is going to bring to you? Then I think, yeah, I'm happy. So, yeah, that's where it is. There's no right and wrong answer to this, actually.
Mhm. I mean, I can definitely say from my perspective, and this is a saying that's like pretty like common within my generation. It's like strict parents raise sneaky kids, right? If you like the idea should be like you
It's
know
not
how
just your generation, it's my generation too, because my parents were strict and I was a very sneaky
I know, but
kid.
like that's a it's not I'm saying that's a saying that we all say that
Yeah.
strict parents raise sneaky kids. And which makes like complete sense. And that's what I would always grow up trying to explain because whenever my friends would be like, your parents are so chill, they're like chill to a fault. Like they're this is the reason you have so much stuff going on in your life because your parents are too chill. I'm like, look, is it because my parents are too chill? No. I mean, I would still be doing and moving through life this way, whether my parents like allowed it or not. But it wasn't a question of my parents allowing for stuff like this. If it were up to them, I wouldn't go to parties, I wouldn't be drinking, I wouldn't do drugs, all this stuff. Like it was up to them, that would be my life. Unfortunately, it's not up to them. These are the things and the experiences that kids in my generation are going through, and we're going to go through them regardless of, anything. So my parents being this chill just meant that I could come and talk to them about it. It wasn't that they were allowing me to do these things. It was that they knew that these things were happening. And so they'd rather me just come and talk to them about it so that we could meet somewhere in the middle about like being more safe or like, stuff like that. And I truly do agree like that's the best way to go about, parents that are at this crossroads of like, should I be more or give my kids more freedom or not? Because it's either they do it and you know, or they do it and you don't know. Regardless, they're doing it. So the best case scenario is that you do know. And I do think the pros from my side, at least, were like I never felt that I had to like well, the more materialistic pros is I never had to sit there and worry about like, oh, how do I change my location? Like, how do I like do I carry eye drops with me because my eyes are gonna be like I didn't have to worry about that type of stuff either. So
Oh,
the
that's interesting. I would like to know, what do kids your age go through these things of hiding from parents, because I never had to deal with that part, most of it. So I don't even know what do kids your age do nowadays,
I mean,
when
the
they're sitting around.
biggest thing is location, obviously. For like there's a million different ways to figure out how to change your location. And for every new way that's figured out, there's more to like add on to it. Like there obviously location's the biggest one. If you just smoked weed, you know your eyes are gonna be red, carry eye drops on you at all times so that your eyes aren't red anymore. Um, 9 times out of 10, if a kid is doing a last minute sleepover, it's because they're too drunk to come home. It's not because they just want to end up staying late. Um,
My, are you busting?
I'm exposing everybody. But yeah, I mean, just stuff like that. It's honestly not that hard to, and the thing with like brown kids is like we're obviously gonna like it's like the worst combination, right? Because our parents are even more strict than everybody else's, which means we're still gonna sit there and go out and do more, but we're also really smart about it. So 9 times out of 10, we're not gonna get caught. And we're gonna keep pushing and we're gonna keep pushing until the one time we finally get caught, and that's when our entire world comes crashing down. And that's what happens to every brown kid at some point of the or the other in their life because they're smart and they think they're gonna get away with it, and then they finally don't. And that's when, and it's not just like the one thing you did that got you caught that your parents find out, then they find out about everything. And that is just so much more of a hassle to deal with, not even just for the kids, but for the parents too. Like you're sitting here having your bubble burst because you thought your child was doing nothing and here they are doing everything. So, yeah, I going back to like the original point, I do think there's a lot more merit in just being able to come and tell your parents, again, like I didn't have to worry about the materialistic things, of course. And then also I did not have to worry about like it was just a pressure that was taken off, right? And then because that pressure was taken off with me, even I was able to gauge how much is too much. Like, can I do this, or is that really testing my parents' respect and trust in me, or is it still like within the limits, right? That way, like you were able to figure out how much freedom to give me and how much to push and pull. I was able to figure out how much to push and pull too. Because if you don't have that opportunity, and like that's why I truly do think that I didn't go out and do a lot of the stuff that my friends were doing. I still reined it back in because I was like, I have all this freedom. Yes, I technically could go and do all this stuff, but I don't want to abuse the trust and the respect and the freedom that my parents have given me. So as a child, you learn to respect and honor that a lot more than if your parents just automatically shut you down or just like, no, absolutely not. Why would you even think of that? At least from a child's perspective, like that's how I felt about it.
I think that's a good point that you're making, that you could have gone to any extent, especially when the freedom is given to you and I'm trusting you, then it is even more easier for you to push that boundary more. But then it actually had the reverse effect on you, because you actually wanted to respect that boundary because it's coming from a very pure space from the parent side, you know. And I do feel that that is something that also experience with Adi, you know. With Adi also I was able to strike that he feels safe enough to come and tell me. I hope so. Unless until
So,
you
dude,
bubble, right, you burst a bubble right now on my head. But whatever I have known, and I see him, I've been out of the house for 5 months now, but he still managed himself very well. He had all the opportunity to really do what he wants to do. Nobody's in the house, but that he still respects that freedom that has been given to him. And as you rightly said, it's not given. I'm no one to give you that freedom. I don't think so. I have that sense of ownership that I'm going to give you the freedom. I guess I really wanted you always to understand that it's not about your experiences that I don't want you to have. It is just the safety issue that I have, and not because I don't trust you that you're going to simply go and burn yourself in hell. No, that's not the idea. But again, the world today is very different than when I was growing up, and so that is the fear. I guess if parents and children can have a very open dialogue, and they can sit down and understand each other's fears and insecurities, and then they can come to some sort of a middle ground, then I think it's fine. Like even now, of course, it might, people might laugh at us, but you know how whenever you leave you have to give me a location. uh, you want to talk about it a little bit?
what just happened or like in general?
In general, like how you have to, like, you know,
Yeah,
you,
so what I do, which I still don't fully agree with, but let me just
but do
disclaim.
you understand at least
Yes,
where
no, I definitely understand. So usually what I do is when I'm going out to a party, like I'll text, in our family group chat, like, oh, left the party, here's the address. Like just got on the Uber, just reached the party, then just got on the Uber, just got back home. Oh, actually now we're going out for food. So like in situations like that, when like my parents know I'm going to not be fully sober and stuff like that, like I do give them those constant updates, things like that. When I go out, go travel for my dance team, like to different state, I give my updates then too. I understand why though. Like I feel, and then even I do will say that like when I first started college, I was a lot better at those updates. It was a lot more specific and detail oriented. Now it's not as detailed oriented, but I think that's because we've also learned to like adjust to each other and like I'm going on to my fourth year into college now. So
Yeah, and I always told you that it's not about me being some sort of a helicopter parent on your head, but it was more about I cannot avoid whatever happens to you, because you're living in a different city altogether. You're 4.5 hours apart from where I am. And of course anything can happen. But then the whole idea was to come to this middle ground where, in case if something happens, there is a pattern between you and me. If that pattern is broken, then it is an alarm for me to say, okay, she's not responded, that means I need to do something about it. Or your phone is showing me a location, but maybe you are not at that location, right? Because the 360 shows me your phone's location, not your location. And that's why I always made sure that manually you tell me when what was your last location, so that when I have to come back looking for you, I know where to start from. That's my last, right? So I'm not saying that this can save anything or save you from anything. I think it is more that in case if something happens, then as a parent, I have to come in action. And what would I do at that point of time, So it just gives me that security that, okay, fine, you're safe, you're able to text me and tell me where you are, then you're sober enough, you're not fallen on road somewhere.
Never. I would never.
Yeah.
I will say though, there are, at least from what I've heard from my friends' experiences and from my some of their parents, there are parents out there who don't want their kids to experience certain things. And it's not really safety wise, it's because they're like, "Oh, we just think you're too young." Or we just don't want you to experience that period because it's not good for you. What would you say to those types of parents?
Yes, do I agree that you are too young? I do agree, you're too young. Do I agree that this is not something for you now, focus on more? I agree to those thoughts also. But those are thoughts. But what is the reality? You still need to see the reality, right? This is where it takes us back to our first podcast, that what generation are we raising, right? We have to understand the reality of today's time. If we do not understand that, then as you rightly said, that kids will sneak out. They might not do bigger things, they'll do smaller things, but they will still do. And then having a relationship where you have to lie to your parents constantly is very unhealthy and very stressful for the child. Not more so for the parent, because the parent is anyways living in the bubble that my child is not doing anything. But for the child who's already going through so much pressures, to have this pressure that he has to constantly being lying to the parents, and then one lie leads to another 10 lies, and then they have to tell their friends also to make sure that they are lying along with it. It is so much of web of lies to constantly be able to not let the parents know what they are sneaking around with. That is so much pressure, it's not even worth it. Why? So again, the parent would argue that also you're trying to tell us that, oh, we should just let them do whatever they want. I don't think so. That's what it is. Again, it's again a healthy dialogue between the parent and the child, where the parent understands that the times are such that the child might do certain things, and the child understands that, okay, my parent is a little different than another parent, but in the end the love and respect for your parent should be able to guide them that, okay, fine, we will not do the 10 things, but can we do the 3 things or 4 things that will keep us happy and you happy? That is a balance that every family dynamics, a parent child relationship, and every parent child in the same household is also different. How I worked with you was very different than how I worked with Adi. I had to figure out my own way with Adi. It wasn't easy, but we came to some sort of a middle ground with Adi too. So I think that's how it is. And I do agree, yes, I'm not denying the fact that it is too early, but but
I mean, I'm 21
I'd
now.
rather live in the reality than in a fantasy bubble.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think that's what it is. And I think I can only thank my own experiences for giving me that wisdom, because I was that child. My parents didn't want to live in that reality. They were living in the fantasy bubble that their sons are so nice. And I'm the black sheep of the family. So, yeah, but it's okay. I turned out fine.
It all worked out in the end. But
It
I
all
think,
worked.
yeah, I think that's a good place to stop this week's episode. I'm glad we've had like two more lighthearted episodes back to back. Because I feel like the couple episodes before then were just like really like deep spiritual conversations, like introspective, really made you think. And I was like, there's some lightheartedness is good too. Not all of our conversations are that serious.
Yeah, no, I think you and me have had like really nice, good conversations. And I've always said that I don't think so. It's more like best friend or this, but you've been my confidant. I've shared pretty much a lot of my life with you. So yeah, I mean, I have a good space and good relationship with you. I'm very happy about it.
Unfortunately, the best friend title is taken by my father. So,
That's okay. I I,
yeah.
I can let go that. I'll let him have something
He'll
someday.
love to hear that. He'd love to hear that when he finally listens to this episode.
Yeah, maybe one day actually we should call him and have a
I
father.
think we should. I think definitely eventually we should have Adi and Dara on this podcast.
Yeah, because Adi is a different person. Like you are a different personality. Adi is very different personality, and how I was able to strike that balance with him. And of course, Dara's perspective, as a father into this whole episode or this whole family drama that we have been going through, we should get his perspective too one day. It will be nice.
I
Maybe
agree.
we should do one episode with just him. Because if I'm next to him, it's going to be different.
Yeah, definitely. We have some ideas in the works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all for today's episode. Like always, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let us know if there's any topics that you guys want us to speak about. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in for this week's episode, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And again, as I say, if it helps anyone, then it's worth it. All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.